paper and pencil. Good practice.
Now, range is usually a very quick one. Median takes a little bit longer, but we can talk about the exact same number sets. We don't really have to restart anything here. So as Mr. Dietrich is kind of getting himself ready, median, what I usually tell my students when we're talking about the word median is we often relate things to what it would be in real life. And median, when I hear real life with median, I'm thinking about the side of the road, that dividing line between the two different directions. They've got the a cement between them or the patch of grass between them. It's called the median because that is the middle of the road. So Mr. Dietrich will also show you how to find median when we have this same set of numbers.
All right, so we're gonna take a look at this side here first. So first of all, when you are doing median, your first step or your first job is to always make sure that your numbers are in order, okay? So if you notice here, these have already been written in order, which kind of saves us a step. If they are not in order, which we'll take a look at in a little bit more detail in a second, but if they are not in order, you want to write those in order from least to greatest. So I'm actually going to look at the top one here first, all right? The way that I like to do it is I like to simply kind of take away one from each side until I arrive at a middle number. All right, so I'm taking away one here from my left side, and then I'm going to take away one from the right side. All right, one left, right. Now this is going to take just a little bit longer because we have lots of them, but you can just keep going back and forth. And the way that you know that you are done is that you are going to arrive either at one number or possibly two numbers in the middle. We'll talk about how you look at that in a second here. All right, so a couple things. First of all, I have arrived at a median of 11 because that is the number that is in the middle. But the first thing that I want to check is it's very easy to make a mistake when you're crossing those off to maybe cross off an extra one or maybe forget one. So the first thing that you want to do is always double check to make sure that you have the same amount of numbers on the right side and the same amount of numbers on the left side. So if I look at this one here right now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers on the left side. All right, so if I want to check my work, that means that I need 10 numbers on the right side. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so
Did you count that one that you circled as one of your numbers?
no, I did not.
Exactly.
Right, because the one that you circled, like Mrs. Lynn said, is your median. It's in the middle, like in the middle of the road. So you're not going to count the middle one. You just want your same amount on your left, same amount on your right. So that's an excellent way to kind of double check your work to make sure that you did not make an error in there at all. All right, so we're going to look at a couple down here, some different scenarios that you might run into. All right, so first of all, I'm going to ask myself, are these in order? And if I look at them, I have 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 9. Those are in order from least to greatest. And then I'm going to use the same method. So I'm crossing one off from the left, right, right. All right, now you will notice right now I have 2 that are crossed off on the left. I have 2 that are crossed off on the right. But you might notice this one looks a little bit different because I have two numbers that are in the middle. All right, so in all reality, my median is kind of right down the middle there. All right, and we're going to look at a couple different things that might happen in this case, but currently on the left side I have a 4 and on the right side I have a 4. So if you kind of think to yourself, what is halfway between 4 and 4, or what is in the middle of 4 and 4, your median there is just going to be 4, okay? Down here, similar case, I'm going to start, cross off the left, right, and I have 4 and 5 in the middle. Again, my median is right in the middle of those two. So you have to kind of ask yourself, I have a 4 and a 5, what is going to be directly between that 4 and that 5? All right, which right between that 4 and that 5 is going to be a 4.5 or 4 and 5 tenths there. Okay, and then last one that's kind of a similar scenario, again, crossing off. Again, I have 2 on my left, 2 on my right. I have 4 and 6 in the middle. My median is right between 4 and 6. So what would be directly between 4 and 6 there? Is going to be 5, because that 5 is directly between those two numbers there. Okay, so we're gonna look at a couple down here. So again, with your median, a very common mistake is that we look at these numbers here, they are already written in a line, and we start crossing off. So we cross off here, we cross off here, which we'll kind of show you. All right, and then we say 3 is our median. All right, but as I mentioned earlier, the first step that you should always do is you need to write them in order. And are these in order right now? No, they are not. So if I rewrite these in order, let's say I have a 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 7, 9. Did I miss any?
I don't think so.
Okay. So now that I have these in order, I can use the same method I have been using. Cross off here, cross off there. And I've arrived at 5 in the middle. Again, I can check my work. Do I have the same amount of numbers crossed off to the left of my middle number as my right? I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so I am good. Now, as you can see, my median here is 5. It does not match up with the median of 3 that I got here. So your first step when you have a random order is to make sure that you put them in order from least to greatest before you do any crossing off or trying to find out what is in the middle.
So that second one that he has down there is the exact same numbers once again, but you might be able to mentally see that if we were to cross off 2 would be the median. So 2 would be the median, 3 would be the median. When we have a rearranged order, wrong numbers end up being the median, because in the data set, once they're in order, 5 is the only true median.
So the main difference between the ones where it falls directly on the number is it's an odd set of, there's an odd set of data, meaning there's an odd number of pieces of data in the set. And when you have it fall between, it means there's an even number of pieces of data. So it'll fall in between. If you have really big numbers, I don't know if you've ever shared that with your kids, find the mean of those two numbers. That's what you're doing down here. If you were gonna find the mean, it falls right between this one. If it falls right between it, if you add 4 plus 5, you're finding the mean of the two numbers on each side. Well, this one is a really easy one. We get divide it by 2, and we get 4.5. We got the same number. This is a real easy one to see, but if this was like 64 and 75,
Then
it's
let's
not
try it
as
over here.
easy.
So 64 and 75, let's pretend that 64 and 75 were your two numbers in the middle once you've crossed everything off.
Okay?
And many of us cannot do that mentally to figure out what numbers would have been in between. So she's going to show you a strategy to find the middle of 64 and 75.
So what we're doing is we're finding the mean by adding the two numbers together. Okay, we get 139. There's 2 pieces of data in there, so we're dividing the 139. We're going to divide it by 2. And remember, we can add a 0 there, it doesn't matter. We get 69.5. Get our 0 remainder, so we're done.
Should we go try some on the smart board? Maybe 1 or 2 just to see the big idea with the...
So if we look at the ones that we see on the smart board, and I can write on this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The ones that we see on the smart board, again, your first job is to make sure that you are writing those in order. All right. This current list, as you see, is not in order. So I want to write my smallest one. I'm going left to right from smallest to largest. So I have a 51.
Something that I do with my students, Mr. Dietrich, is
Yes.
once we're copying, like I can maybe cross that one
Cross
off.
it
I know
off,
that
yeah.
at home you can't
Okay.
cross it off on your Chromebook, but if you want to write the original data set down on your piece of notebook paper, and then as you're rewriting them, you can kind of cross them off your list just to make sure you don't forget any of them.
I always count when I'm done to make sure I have the same number of pieces of data as I started with.
So again, I am just putting these in order before I do anything else. and then like Mrs. Harris was saying, I can double check to make sure I did not miss anything. It's easy to overlook these. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. So if I look back down at my list, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. So I can double check to make sure I didn't leave anything out. And then again, I'm just going to use the method where I'm crossing off on the left, crossing off on the right, crossing off on the left, right. Alright, so based off what I have did, our median is 57, but I'm going to double check, make sure I didn't make any mistakes. If I look on the left here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. And then on the right, I also have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers there. So that means that 57 is the median. It just like the median in a road, it's directly in the center. So we can go ahead and check that.
I'm trying to do it on the Chromebook.
If you hit that top right where it says clear ink, Mrs. Hardesty, it can all go away at once.
Here?
Yep, click that, click clear ink to the right, and then it all disappears.
All right, and then we'll try one more. So if I'm looking at these again, they are not in order. So I'm gonna write them in order. That's always my first step. I'm gonna cross them off as I go so that I don't leave any out. We have an 86. All right, and then when I'm done, again, you want to double check to make sure that you have them written, especially in one like this. There are several 57s. All right, it's very easy to accidentally leave one or more of those out. So I'm going to double check. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers there. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers there. All right, so I know I have all my numbers. Double check they're all in order. So I can start to cross off. I have arrived at 86. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left of my median or left of the center. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right of the median or right of the center. So I have double checked my work, and 86 is our median there.
Mr. Dietrich, I think you did a great job. I don't think there's anything that I would add.
I
Mrs.
wouldn't add
Hardesty?
anything either.
Okay.
So have fun doing your IXLs.
Mrs. Lynn behind the scenes. Bye.